Welcome to a League of Legends Patch 25.23 Champion Adjustment Review. Patch 25.23 Champion Adjustments are here. First, Aatrox is now a true jungle threat with huge monster damage buffs on his passive and Q. Next, Ahri gets a boost to her Foxfire, giving her more burst power with her W. Finally, Ambessa is getting a nudge in the jungle with higher monster damage on her Q. Get ready for the new jungle meta. Patch 25.23 is shaking up the ADC meta. Both Ashe and Caitlyn are getting nerfed. Ashe loses attack speed on her Q, and Caitlyn's late-game headshot damage is reduced. But on the jungle side, Cho'gath is back. His E-spikes are now specifically buffed to give him a big punch against monsters, making him a serious jungle contender. Dr. Mundo got a bug fix on his E, so he now gets max damage at 70% missing health instead of 30. To balance that massive change, his E damage is getting slightly buffed. But the biggest news? Fizz is getting big jungle resilience and monster damage added to his passive and W. Get ready to see the title trickster in the jungle. Look out for Jayce. He is now a true jungle flex, receiving a flat 50 bonus monster damage on both his hammer and cannon Q abilities for much faster clears. Next, Jhin is back, with buffs to his base attack damage and W damage, giving the Virtuoso a much needed boost. Finally, Jinx is getting nerfed, with reductions to the base damage and bonus AD ratio on her ultimate, slightly reducing her scaling power. The ADC nerfs continue. Caitlyn is getting a small base armor hit and a much longer cooldown on her ultimate, aiming to curb her dominance. Hwei gets adjusted, with reduced base damage on his QE combo, making it harder for him to non-comedally clear waves. But here's a new jungle threat. Malphite is getting massive buffs to his W monster modifier, paving the way for the Rock to take over the jungle. Mel gets an adjustment where her passive damage is buffed, while her E root is slightly reduced, shifting her power balance. Next, Miss Fortune is getting a deadlier ultimate. Her R bullet time now has a higher AD ratio, making her a massive teamfight threat. Finally, look out for jungle Ornn. His W passive and active monster damage caps are massively increased, making the Forge God ready for the Rift's wilderness. xayah, her passive healing is being toned down to reduce her high lane sustain, especially in the top lane. Next, Riven is getting a flat monster damage buff on her passive, enabling the Exile as a new, high-skill jungle option. Finally, Sion is also joining the new jungle flex, getting a monster damage boost on his Q, which makes his early clears and invades much stronger. Patch 25.23 is huge for Forgotten Champions. Skarner is getting massive buffs with increased base AD and a much lower cooldown on his Q. Get ready for the Bruiser Juggernaut meta. Swain also gets a boost, with a damage buff and mana cost reduction on his E to help out his support role. Finally, Tristana is getting a small AD growth buff to give the Rocket Girl more late-game punch. Vladimir is getting tapped down. Riot is reducing his base health and base armor to target his strong top lane performance. Volibear is getting a simple but effective buff to his base attack damage, making the demigod much more threatening. Xayah is cutting through the meta with increased feather damage on her passive, boosting her overall threat. And finally, Zeri is getting much faster. Her R Lightning Crash now grants double the movement speed per stack, making the Spark of Zon impossible to catch. Then there is one item buff in this patch. Sunfire has been strongly losing to Liandry's on any tank jungler who can reasonably choose between the two. We'd like to bring back tank forward itemization here and allow Sunfire to return to the forefront.